Hey guys, Ryan back here with another video. Today it's going to be the long-awaited lighting kit install. I'm going to go step by step from once you get your kit to fully installed. So follow along. If you need to take breaks, I'll try and put chapters in the bottom, but just follow along. By the end of it, you'll have everything installed. So check it out. So I'll be teaching you how to install the fueled light kit. We're going to start here on the door. This car already has it in, but I need to take this door off to do some modifications that I have in mind. So we're going to first start with the 7mm, and we're going to unscrew the 2 screws on the bottom of the door. Next, I'm going to use a little metal pry tool to get behind the door latch to pull off the plastic cover. So with the pry tool, I'm going to reach behind here and find that little half circle and pull that out. So I'll open the door, reach in, find that little half circle and just pull outwards. And you'll pull off this piece here. Next, I'll take my 10mm and get to the nut behind that black plastic piece. Next, I'll use my little plastic pry tool to take off the door control panel. So just get underneath, pop that pop off. There's another clip in the middle, and one at the end. There we go. Now I'll again take my 10mm and get to the bolt right underneath that panel we pulled off. Now we're going to start popping off the clips. Now be careful if some of them fall off, we'll just place them back where they go. Now with our panel hanging, we're going to come back to behind the door and we're going to undo this nut right here. It's a 12mm, it's plastic. It's not going to use that much force to get off, so be careful. Now, with that nut removed, we're going to go into here. We're going to take out our My Color light, disconnect the door light. We're also going to disconnect the door harness. Now, we're going to take out the door harness, the door latch. You can see it's held in by a couple of these plastic clips, so we're going to pop them. And we'll push the assembly out this way. Now, once we take that off, we have the whole door panel removed. I'm gonna do the other side and then I'll catch you guys inside installing the lights. So now once we have the door off, we're gonna be looking at the harness, this connector here, that is kind of the main harness for the door. It goes to our light and it goes all the way to the security light. So what I'm gonna do, you just kind of pop it off here. It's just on these little clips. And to give myself a little more slack, I'm gonna do the same with a couple of these. Now, once it's popped off, you're gonna see that it goes in 2 directions, this connector. 4 of those wires are gonna go to our light, and that's what we're gonna deal with here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unwrap this tape here, just to give myself a little of length of wire so that I can clip on my little vampire tabs. So once we have our tape pulled back, we can see the 4 wires. And on these 4 wires, that's where we're going to place our little clamps, our little vampire taps. What you're gonna do, apologize for filming nothing, but what you're going to do is place the wire in the metal, in this, if we can focus, in that hook right there. We're gonna place the wire in there. So we're gonna place the wire in the little metal section, close this down, and then what I like to do is I like to take a pair of pliers and just make sure that it is closed all the way until it snaps into place, and you should be good to go. Now we're gonna do that for the other three, and then I'll show you a test that you can do if you want, but don't need to do. Now what I like to do is I like to go to my connector, trace the wires that we crimped. I'm gonna go to the green in this case, put one probe in there, and then I'm gonna take one to my green wire, and I'm gonna make sure I get tone. I like to do that for all three just to make sure that these wire taps are actually making a great connection. Now that I've clipped everything back in place, I like to see where this lands. It's gonna go into the door latch right there. But all my wire taps are gonna be right here, and they're gonna be making contact with the door, and I don't want to rattle. So what I like to do is find yourself some, you can do foam tape, that's what I've got here, but electrical tape will work as well. You can also use this more fabric-y style tape, or really any tape that you have, and just kind of place it along this area so we don't get any more rattles. Now I'm going to take one of my light assemblies that I have here, and I'm going to clip each of the 4 wires to its corresponding color on the door harness. Another thing that I like to do is to also place some tape on the back of our black box on the lighting kit, one of the light assemblies, just so itself, if it does tend to move around while we're putting on the door, it's still gonna have a piece of tape with it. So this is how it'll look, nice and tucked up out of the way, and then we just have to run the light down through this sheet, soundproofing sheet, where it's gonna eventually meet up with the light plastic bar. So I'm gonna flip this over and I'll show you how to install that next. So now we'll take out our light strip from the pack. And what I like to do before we put it into the door is take the raw end, I guess you would say, just the circular bit. It would be best if you put a bit of shrink tubing here or just some electrical tape, just so you don't see the light coming through this bit here. So I'm just gonna put this shrink tubing on, but you can put, I've put electrical tape in the past and that works great. If you are going to use shrink tubing, make sure when you apply heat that you're not applying it into one spot for too long, or else this is gonna bend and then the light won't disperse properly throughout the rest of the strip. So just be careful if you're gonna use shrink tubing. So I would really recommend electrical tape, but I have this here and I've done this a couple times and hopefully I do it right again. So now that we've taped off our end or shrink tubed our end, we're going to insert the circular edge right in this crack here. We're just gonna kind of jimmy it in until we can slide it all the way through. And now I'll show you on the back where it's gonna poke out. Now I've poked it through and you can see it comes out just below this little crack. And don't worry, it's a little difficult. There is some jimmying involved, but once you get it through, it should feed through right here. And I like to tuck it underneath this kind of soundproof material. And then that's where we're going to attach it to the little light element down here. So once you tuck it in all the way, you're gonna have the black starting piece that's there, and just meet it right at that junction of these 3 panels here, where the circular bit is going through. And then we're just gonna start tucking it into this. This is the most difficult part of this, but it might take you a bit, but try and use the included tool. or your fingernails just to start tucking this into the crack. Now, I know this tool is meant to be used this way, but I like using this flat bottom part as long as you can kind of pick off the nubs of plastic so it doesn't cut anything. I like to just use that circular bit and just to push it in. And remember, on the turns, it's going to be very difficult to get it in there. But if you just use this and you go super small, like from here to there, I know it's almost imperceivable, but that's how slow you want to go while laying this into the cracks. It's going to be tough, but use your tool, or if your nails are strong enough, use your nails, but I like to use the back of this and just tuck it in super slow, and you'll get there. And remember to take breaks. If you're struggling with a certain section like I am here, just take a break, give it a couple minutes, come back, let your fingers get their strength back, and it'll go in easy. You'll get there, it just might take you a little bit of time. Just take as many breaks as you need, get those fingers back, and come back to it. If you're really having trouble with this section, you can do what I was just doing at the end of that clip. Try and get, I don't supply this piece, but if you find yourself a plastic trim, take apart kit, removal tool set, it should come with something like this, but you can use this as well. But you can get this, just kind of get it in there. Be careful as we're separating plastics here. Just kind of open that gap a little bit more, take your tool, and then it might make it a little bit easier to get it in there. So if you need to, this is kind of the nuclear option, but just keep going with it. So I brought you over to this side now because this corner right here is going to be the most difficult part of all of this. So I know I said it before, but really take your time on this corner right here. Just go as slow as you need to, take as many breaks. This is going to be hard. Don't worry, it's hard for me too. So in this tough corner, the little light strip is gonna have to be tucked in more than the rest of it. So the light's gonna be a bit dimmer in here, but you have to tuck it in. It's the only way you're gonna get it around this corner. So just make sure everything else is somewhat even, and be taking your time throughout this to make sure it is even if you want a nice consistent glow. See, I've got a high spot, tuck that in. But this is gonna have to be a little bit more into the panel than most. So once you get it around this corner and we're down here, I would consider this the final stretch, the home stretch here. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to cut this a little bit. Just check out where the leather portion kind of meets the plastic portion. There's a crack right here. I end it right there, since you can't really go any farther unless you want to do this right here just a little bit. But I advise you cut it right here. So I'm going to make that cut right now and then tuck it all in, and we'll be done with this panel. When you're cutting, try and use something like a wire snip tool so it makes a nice clean cut. You don't have to get scissors in here all bulky and pull this back out and kind of ruin your progress. But this is what I'd recommend. Just get some wire snips and get it in there, and we'll tuck this in all the way and then we'll be done. And just like that, I have this whole panel finished. So let me spin you guys around and show you kind of what it's gonna look like when the lights are on. So we have the door finished. I'm gonna be using an extra one I have here just because I don't have this plugged into the car. But let me put on red here. So it's slightly dim right now, just because I'm not providing with my couple AA's what the car will be providing. But see, I've got a little spot here. This is what you're gonna wanna do. Just kind of check, make sure it kind of looks even. So now we got green. Okay, green looks good. Here we go, blue. So that's kind of the whole deal with the door panel. But let me show you one last thing and we'll be completely done with the door. So the last bit that I recommend doing is coming down here to where we pulled our light and the light strip. I recommend just putting some tape around this so we're not knocking around while the car's in motion. It's gonna be under this, and you can put a piece of tape over this if you really want to just hold everything, but I recommend putting some tape at least around this metal portion here so we're not banging around. So I put some tape around it and I also taped it to the back of the door. Once you have that all done, you have this all taped up. I don't know if I showed that earlier, but I've got quite a couple pieces of tape on that, and just some padding. Once you have that done, that taped up, and the other side all in, our door is finally done. So what we're gonna be looking for is the harness that goes to this light right here. If you look around, you're gonna feel it. It should come to about there. I think that's it right there. So we're gonna unplug this plug right here and spin the light out of its position. So once you get your dash footwell light, I guess I would call it. Once we get that out, also pull out your driver's side. I already took that out earlier and I clipped into it. But basically this is what you'll want to do. Just peel back the tape and again, just like we did on the doors, apply your little vampire taps and plug in our module to the respective wire colors. The dash is more your choice on where you want it. I'm gonna be doing it in the center stack on this friend's car that I have here. He wants it next to the radio, but again, you can put it anywhere on the dash, but these are what I tap into on either side. This is the passenger, this is the driver's side, and then just kind of tuck your light kit up onto the dash however you want. Route it to whatever crack that you want. Some like it symmetric around the radio like I've been talking about, but like I had in the previous video, I liked it on one part of the dash and then another part of the dash that wasn't exactly symmetric, but this is where it's kind of your choice, but this is what we're gonna have to take out on either side to clip into. It's just the footwell lights. You'll see them when you get down there. Follow the light and just trace it to the harness that it connects to. It's just 4 wires on either one. This one, you do have to pop out a little plastic clip that's holding the wire in, but that's the hardest part. And then you just put it in wherever you want in the dash. So I'll show once I get this dash installed, and that's kind of it. That's kind of the whole install video. I'll also show you how to cut it, to cut the light fibers to the length that you want. So let me grab one real quick. So this is one that I use to practice bending on it, but say you're gonna lay this in a crack and the crack is only this length. You're gonna wanna put this in, but you're not gonna need the rest of this. So let me show you how to cut this properly. I'll probably cut it a little farther down so I don't waste this whole thing, but let's say it's this length, okay? And we want to get rid of this little portion. So let me show you how to do that. So bear with me, I'm gonna try and do this while I'm filming. So what I'm gonna do is, say this is the spot that I don't want the rest of this, right? I'm gonna take my knife here. I'm gonna cut this tape. It's actually just a reflective tape covering both strips. Okay, I'm gonna cut it. Now I'm gonna try and get my nail in there. We're just gonna start to peel the tape back, right? Get rid of this tape here. And then you'll start to see that the light bar is actually made of two parts. This circular bit and this rectangular bit. And that's the part that we want to cut. So let me get the rest of this tape off and then I'll show you what the next step is. So I've got all my tape off and I've exposed the two sections. So all we're gonna do is at that point, just take your wire clippers or anything that you have that can cut a nice straight line and just clean that part off. And then you're gonna be left with this. And again, like we did on the doors, I recommend getting a bit of shrink tubing. So let me put this on here. We'll get it on the end. I already have some on here, which is gonna make it hard and I can't get it to the end. So just slide your shrink tubing all the way to the front here, or get some tape and tape this off so you don't see the light coming out of this bit. And then you're free to tuck this into a crack and route this part behind your dash till it meets up with the light underneath, and just tape all this up. I'm not gonna show too much of this since it is kind of dealer's choice on where you want this strip to be. I will show the ending where I put it, but this is how you cut it. I just want to make sure everyone knows how to do that. Don't bend it too much or else it won't work. That's why this is my kind of junk piece. So let me get back to you. I'll show you the finished product in the car where I'm going to install this. So there you have it, guys. All the steps you're going to need to do to get this lighting kit installed in your Ford Mustang. Thanks to Conrad here for letting me borrow his Mustang since I don't have one right now. More on that coming later, but again, thanks for watching. Hit it with a like, hit me with a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.